Hello my creative friends, welcome to day 2 of World Card Making Day. I am making videos and kits to give away in honor of World Card Making Day. If you are watching this video on YouTube, just look at the description down below and there'll be a link to this post. This is the card we're making today. It'll have all the supplies, but it will also have a link to my giveaway. So you can click on that, learn about the different blog hops, and see what I'm giving away. But basically, it's going to be kits for the different cards that I made. And each card will have a video. This is the card we'll be making today. It's day 2. This was inspired by the photo for Japan at Stamp Nation. And it uses a watercolor technique. I'm going to show you, actually, after I show you the way I did this one, I'm going to show you a couple of other ideas you can use and get a very similar effect. I'm going to start with a piece of white paper. You could use watercolor paper. Stampin' Up! Carries watercolor paper, but that paper has a little bit of texture to it, which it gives it some absorption for all the water you're going to be adding, but I find it difficult to get a crisp image on there. You can try using the regular Whisper white paper. I have not tried that. I know it's a little bit glossy, so I don't know how well it absorbs the water. The other thing you can try is any of the papers that you use for Copic coloring, because usually they absorb a little bit more. I happen to be using this paper. I got it at a local artist store. So let's see, I don't even know who makes it. Pentalic? Anyways, in the kit I'll have some of this paper for you to do the technique on. Just play with this, give it a try, and see which you prefer to use. The colors I'm using for this technique are Pink Pirouette, Pumpkin Pie, and Real Red. To get ink on the top of your ink pad, you're just going to squeeze your pad together. I'm just squeezing it, and it's open a little bit. I find that makes it easier for it to actually hit the lid. And what that does is it pulls some of the ink onto the lid. Now, if you have some of the re-inker ink, you can also put that in here. And especially with this Pink Pirouette, I find that the re-inker works the best because the Pink Pirouette's pretty light. I'm going to be using an aqua painter. If you haven't seen one before, it basically has a tip like any other paintbrush, and the barrel holds water. So instead of having to dip it into water, you just squeeze the barrel and water comes out. It usually comes out too fast for me to do coloring, but it's perfect for this because I really do want water. So I just squeeze it into here a little bit. If you don't have an aqua painter and you want to try this right away, go ahead and just grab a little container of water and a regular paintbrush. Dip your brush in the water, dip it in here. It'll get more water on your lid to get that ink flowing and moving. My second color is Pumpkin Pie, and I'm just squeezing the lid again. Get the water flowing and add your second color. Now this needs to be set aside to dry. While it does that, I'll show you a couple of different things. I'm going to show you a couple of different ways that you can make the same or a similar watercolor brush. One is to use your blender pen, and you're just going to pick up some of that ink and rub it on your paper. As you can see, this is a little bit darker than the first sample, and it's a different look, but it still works. The next little idea is to use a sponge, or several sponges, and sponge your background. So again, I'm going to start with my lightest color, which is Pink Pirouette. And with sponging, I like to kind of tap off and start swirling it on to avoid too many streaks. I'm doing little swirls, little circles as I go across my page. Blending that up into the pink. I'm going to grab my pink again and blend it down into the orange. So here are just 3 different techniques you can use to get a watercolor look. You can use your aqua painter or just a regular paintbrush and water with your ink. You can use a blender pen, or you can use your sponges with your ink. And I encourage you to try different ways, different techniques, different paper, and see what you like best and what works best for you. After your ink has dried, go ahead and take your embossing buddy and rub it across your paper. This removes any static, and if it's still just a little bit dry in spots, this will dry it. It's basically just chalk inside of there. Then you're going to take your stamp, and in this case I'm using Oh Hello from the Oh Hello stamp set. And I'm just going to ink it up with Versamark ink, which is just a clear ink. And decide kind of where I want that Oh Hello to show. Somewhere in the middle. I know you can't see it, but it's there. I'm going to take some white embossing powder and just sprinkle it over my Oh Hello. You can see I don't have very much white embossing powder left. I need to order some more. But I am going to include a little bit of this embossing powder in your kit. So if you're the winner, you'll have that white embossing powder. So you can at least emboss a greeting. Tap it off. I'm going to bring in my silicone mat and emboss the Oh Hello. The great thing about using white is if there's a spot that doesn't get completely covered, you can use your white Signo pen and just fill it in, if it bothers you. With this one, I think I'd be fine. But there's a little fix to boo-boo. I'm bringing in my big shot so I can show you the new magnetic platform that I got. It's not new to Stampin' Up, but it went on back order before I could get it, and so it is new to me. And I'm going to use the Deco Label framelits. I'm going to use not the smallest one, but the next size up. So you just take your magnetic platform and a clear plate. Stampin' Up suggests that you use one that hasn't been all mangled up. So look, isn't it pretty? It's almost like new. There's a few cuts on it, obviously. I've played with it already. Okay. Then you have these little ridges on the framelits, and I'm just going to do ridge side down. Decide where you want it. I kind of want it evenly spaced from side to side, and about the same size from the top. Okay, then you're going to take another clear plate and put it on top of that, and I can move it. I don't have to use my Post-it note, and it stays. Woohoo! Love it, love it. Run it through your big shot. Those pops are perfectly normal. And you see, it still stays in place. Whoops. If you get my kit, if you're the winner, you'll get one of these, and you can decide what you want to do with it, play with it, maybe try this technique on the cutout piece, or just use it for something different, but I'm including it in your kit. Right, now it's time for assembly. The piece I'm giving you in your kit is about this size, which is still bigger than you need. You'll still have playroom. You can decide which color you want on top and on bottom and move it around. And I did that just to give you a little more wiggle room so that you didn't end up with this and having that space underneath. So what I'm going to do is kind of line it up where I want it to go, and I'm going to make some marks on my paper. Let's do about there. So I can trim this down, because I don't want this showing when I put it on my card. I don't want it showing underneath. So I'm just going to trim off this in this. And there, you can see it's going to fit right inside there nicely. Before I adhere it to my card base, it's just a standard card base. It's 5.5 by 4 1/4 once it's folded. I'm going to take one of these little clips and poke it right through that window. This happens to be a little chicky. I know Stampin' Up! Came out with these clips last year, and one of them has been discontinued. It might be this little chick. I'm not sure. But there are so many things you could do. So there's a little hanger and a little speech bubble. There's an arrow. That's always fun. This one has a whale and a heart. So check the clearance rack for the ones that have been discontinued, and definitely pick up the ones that are still available. I think this one with the arrow is, and I love that one. I've used it for several masculine cards. Very trendy. So I stick the little birdie on there, and the reason I put him, her on there first is so that I can add dimensionals exactly where I want them to go. Otherwise, you might get that caught on your dimensionals. This next step is probably the trickiest step to the whole thing. I'm going to add adhesive to the back panel, back of this watercolored panel, or in this case, sponged panel. And I'm going to line it up where I want it to go. So that it's fairly centered and fairly straight. I'm going to pull in my card, and I'm going to line up the label framelit cut piece where I think I'm going to want it to go, right about there, and then push down. And what that does is that makes sure that this is centered right where I want it. I'm going to take the dimensionals off of the back panel. Here you go, my original watercolored and my second sponged. Oh, hello, birdie. Don't forget to check out the links in the descriptions below. I will have the supply list on my blog with the pictures, some more pictures of this card here. And I will have a link to my giveaway post. And all you have to do to enter is to make a comment on the giveaway post itself. And maybe you'll be a lucky winner of this kit. If not, it's pretty easy to do. And if you'd like me to make more kits to sell, let me know in the comments anywhere on my blog or on this video. And I might start putting together some kits for you guys to make it easier for you to do these cards. I hope you find some time today to get a little bit creative. Thank you for joining me. Bye!